Step 2, find 1 plus I to the 8th power using DeMoivre's theorem. Write an answer in standard form. Now, this gives us a good reason why DeMoivre's theorem is helpful. Okay, 1 plus I to the 8th power. If I'm doing this the way we already know how to multiply complex numbers, it's 1 plus I, don't write this down, times 1 plus I, 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 times 1 plus I. Foil each one, then multiply the foiled things together, and then I think you have to foil even one more time, and eventually you get all the answers down to this nice pretty answer. Okay, that's how we would have to do it without DeMoivre's theorem. To use DeMoivre's theorem, I have to have trigonometric form. Currently I have standard form, so I have to convert. Okay, but hopefully that's getting more and more straightforward. There's 3 steps. Step 1, r is going to be the square root of 1 plus 1. 1 plus 1i, we squared just the numbers, don't square the I. 1 squared plus 1 squared is 2. Square root of 2 is what r equals. And go ahead and leave radicals as radicals. Don't approximate the square root of 2, just leave it as the square root of 2. We're raising things to a power, so sometimes the radicals disappear in the process of working it out. And if they don't, they're still not that hard to evaluate. All right. Second thing, alpha is going to equal the inverse tangent of the imaginary coefficient over the real number absolute value. So 1 over 1, which is 1. Inverse tangent of 1 is 45 degrees. And finally, we look at the direction of both of these numbers. The real number is positive, which takes us right. The imaginary number is positive, which takes us up. If I go right and up, that puts me in the first quadrant. First quadrant rule is that theta equals alpha. So theta is 45 degrees. So just like that, I go from 1 plus I into square root of 2 CIS 45 degrees. This and this mean the same thing. This is being raised to the 8th power, so I want to raise this to the 8th power. So I've got the square root of 2 to the 8th power. CIS 8 times 45 degrees. There's the application of DeMoivre's theorem. Once I get the rectangular form, or sorry, the trigonometric form structure, the magnitude to the power times the angle. 8 times 45 is 360 degrees. The square root of 2 to the 8th means the square root of 2 times the square root of 2, and so on, right? 8 of them. You don't have to do this to evaluate this. I just want to see where it's coming from. Okay. Every pair of square roots of 2 makes a 2, right? So that makes a 2, that makes a 2, that makes a 2, that makes a 2. So if you see a half or square root to a power, that's the same as the non-square root version of that to half of that power. All right? So square root of 2 to the 8th is the same as 2 to the 4th. 2 to the 4th is 16. All right? If we had an odd power, because again, I told you a lot of times you get a radical on these. I mean, obviously you're going to get a square root here, right? If it's the square root of 4, it equals 2, but the square root of 2, square root of 3, square root of anything else is going to be staying a radical right there. If you have like a square root, let's say square root of 3 to the 7th power, something like that. Okay? The square root of 3 to the 6th power would be 3 cubed, right? That's 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. There's one extra square root of 3 we didn't account for. So if it's an odd power, that's how you handle it. The next even number down, figure out what that is, and then just stick a square root of whatever on next to it. So whether it's an even or odd power, you can still get a nice simplified radical expression to represent that exact value instead of getting an approximate value that creates some error. So 16 CIS 360 is the product of all that. So 1 plus I to the 8th is just this. We want the answer in standard form. So again, the final step then is to create standard form out of this. That's 16 times, again, C means cosine of 360, which is 1. Cosine of 360 is 1. I sine of 360 is plus, the sine of 360 is 0 times I. Then if I distribute, I'm just going to get 16. So 1 plus I to the 8th power equals 16.